Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming today to another episode of Ministering Over Fostering. As always, we are so excited with our guest speakers that come and join us. And so I'm going to have Lakeisha take it from here as she always guides us through these interviews. So go ahead, Lakeisha.
All right. Hi. Today we have a very special day. I'm so excited to have Markeya here. Hi, Markeya.
Hello. Hi. Thanks for having me.
No problem. We're excited to have you, actually. So I wanted you to give all of our listeners a brief introduction as to who you are and the company that you represent.
Yes. Okay. Well, my name is Markeya, and I'm actually an adolescent life coach. I've worked in the mental health field for a little over 12 years, and I'm the founder and CEO of RAD, which is Rise Above Defeat.
Awesome. So I'm so glad that you defined what RAD stands for, Rise Above Defeat. What basically inspired you to create RAD?
Like I mentioned, I've worked in the mental health field for about 12 years. And working in that field, I've mostly worked with adults, right? So I remember for about a week constantly, I had the thought like, what caused this? Why are they here? What happened? And then so forth, like weeks upon weeks, this thought would come. And finally, like an answer dropped in my head. Childhood. Trauma that happened during their childhood. And I was inspired to look more into the childhood of these individuals, because if we think about it, our childhood shapes the person we become, as an adult. And our behaviors and everything around it if we don't deal with childhood trauma. Mm-hmm. So that's how Rise Above Defeat came along. It was focused mainly toward our adolescents.
Awesome. And I think that's so important. You really did hit a key aspect of just behaviors in general, because oftentimes we don't really look at, well, why is this child truly behaving that way, right? We might just be focusing on the act itself versus what caused that act.
I absolutely agree with the reason behind this, because many times as adults, we start to engage in very unhealthy habits. For example, like the inability to create a healthy relationship. Something that simple can stem back to childhood, where the relationships that I had as a child, I picked up on certain habits. Either I learned them or I was taught them. And now as an adult, I'm wondering why I can't keep certain relationships afloat. And it stems back to that. Or unhealthy habits, like maybe the way we look at food, maybe the way we look at certain addictions, maybe just our certain emotional aspects and how we perceive life, right? And if we don't go all the way back there to figure out where that root cause is, essentially we're going to be 40, 50, 60-year-olds kind of dealing with the same things we were dealing with as teenagers, because no one ever told us that could be changed. And so I absolutely love this reason behind RAD, because we do have to visit that early on in order to change the way our future is held.
Yeah, it's very deep when you think about it, right? Like in detail. So I'm thankful that you and your team really define the basis of all of that. Speaking of your team, we had the privilege to be your team, and we were absolutely blown away. And so we know that your team is definitely a symbol of you, right? Your leadership skills and your company as a whole. So going back to your company, what services do you offer?
We offer 8 weeks free of coaching. Not only are we focusing now on adolescents, we also focus on adults as well. And that's because some of our childhood behaviors have went over into our adulthood. As Myra just mentioned, a lot of, the reason we react to certain things comes from our childhood. It's the root, what was planted or what was modeled before us as children, and unconsciously, unaware, it's in there. It's in our mind. It's in the way we react to things automatically. So yes, we offer our services to adults as well, and that's where RAD's team come in. It takes more than one person to make breakthrough occur. We are all for serving, and we're about obtaining freedom. So our services are 8 weeks free, where we actually go back to the root. We listen to the individual. We actually have them, we create an individualized plan where 9 times out of 10, it always surfaces back to the root.
Myra and myself, we both know that this is going to be a huge benefit for our foster youth, and even youth that have been in extended foster care or aged out of foster care. I remember there was a technique that you did, and right away, Myra and myself were like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And it was the mirror technique. Maybe tell our listeners what it is and how that can benefit anybody that's in foster care or aged out of foster care.
Yes, the famous mirror technique. I know we probably all heard of, self-affirmations in the mirror, but this technique is a little different because you actually look at yourself. For those who struggle with low self-esteem, lack of confidence, this technique is beneficial. And basically what you do is look at yourself, look at what you see, you acknowledge what you see, and take the mask off, So I usually say no makeup, no nothing. Just get in that mirror up close and personal. See yourself for what you see yourself as, right? So I know some of us have, complexes, whether it be our forehead, our nose, or whatever, our hair is a complex. And you're like, oh, I don't like it about myself. It's getting up close and personal in the mirror. And you start with your hair on down to your chin. And you just, this is my hair. This is what I see. And I love it, You just absorb it, take it in to your forehead. You're like, okay, yes, that's, okay, my forehead is kind of big, but oh well. I mean, this is for people, eyebrows, okay, this is my eyebrows, my eyes. And what this is doing is giving you some time to get comfortable with yourself. So many times we run around in this society and we see, false images, whether it be displayed on TV by, different movie stars. They are trying to shape us. And it's a battle within of how you truly look and how society tells you have to look. So this is allowing you to get comfortable in your own skin, getting up close and personal, spending that much needed time with yourself in the mirror, not trying to put paint on your face so you can look, as someone else, or, just coming naturally and spending time with yourself in the mirror so you can get comfortable. This is what's needed in our society.
Yes.
And this allows you room to grow and build confidence.
This is absolutely beautiful because I think of even as a young girl when I was, growing up, my mom and grandparents always spoke life into me. So I felt like I had this confidence, like, oh, no one can tear me down. But when I did go to elementary school and I saw that my hair looked different than some of the minors that were there, I got shut down. Like I got tore down, And it wasn't until I became an adult that I'm like, you know what? I love my curls. Like, I don't care what anybody else says, right? Or the older you get more freckles. Like, I love my freckles. And I think that is just very empowering for our foster youth to be trained up in that way, because they might have had situations from like bio family or previous foster homes, unfortunately, that have tore them down. And to do this activity, that to me is so powerful, because you're building them up.
Also think about, like, if we see the three of us in this place here, we're different as far as it goes with ethnicity, and that is such a huge thing. For example, I come from a Hispanic household where, you know, we have that Mexican curly poofy hair. It has no form. It's not curly, it's not straight, literally poofy. And as I remember growing up, it was one of those like, Grandma, I don't want my hair to look like this, because my hair would stick up from here, the front. And so, you know, she's putting mayonnaise on my hair to try to calm it down, and like all of these things. And it's one of those, like, I don't look, like you said, the way society depicts perfection. And because I don't look that way, maybe I wasn't made the right way. And I think this is so powerful for youth, because you get into a place where this is who I am. This is how I was made. This is how I was created. And if I can stand in front of a mirror, which is really aversive a lot of times, I don't want to look in a mirror. I don't want to stand too long, right? But if I have to stand in front of this mirror and accept who I am and how I was created, clearly I was created like this for a reason, and I have to be okay with that. And gosh, how incredible. Like, we were so impacted by this when you shared this with us, because we're women. We deal with insecurities that typical women always deal with. But then when you come from a place where maybe there was abandonment, maybe there was rejection, on top of that, I wasn't good enough, not even for my family, or I wasn't good enough for whatever the situation is. Wow. I mean, honestly, this was just incredible. And that's why we wanted to open that up for you today to share with us, because it did impact us. And we've been talking a lot about that since.
Thank you. I also want to add, coming from another standpoint, with myself as a child, I've always got told, you're beautiful. But for that person who doesn't feel beautiful, you know, no matter how many people tell you you are, you still don't feel it within. You know, I had so many people saying, oh, you're beautiful, I like your hair, I like this. And when I looked in that mirror, I was like, ew, I don't feel beautiful. I don't, you know. So it actually took some time. And, you know, this idea came to mind one day. It was like, hey, you need to be comfortable with who you are. So no matter the image I saw, I had to push past that and go in. And I mean, I was up close in that, you know, that little medicine cabinet mirror, like close. And I'm like, you know, and I broke through that. Because I had to see the person I was created to be, you know, not the beauty people put on me. Oh, you're beautiful, you're beautiful. I had to accept it. I had to see me for me, you know. And I think that's the important part, is you seeing you, not others seeing you, but seeing you through, you know, the overcomer, seeing you as the overcomer that you are, you know, through the pain that you've gone through in your life. You're like, wow, I'm standing here. You have to get to that point, and you have to continue to encourage yourself. So now, the person I am today, I'm able to look in that mirror and encourage myself. I'm not working through accepting who I am. Now I'm encouraging myself, because even us as adults, we have to take that time out to encourage ourselves, you know. It's very important.
That's so true. And I think it's very interesting. What I loved about what you just said is that you experienced it, right? So like the fact that you have a story to tell, and it's not like you have never experienced that story and you're just like, okay, this is what I think it should be. Let me help you with this. No, like you've walked that walk. So to me, it's easy to guide someone who is in a similar walk that you have experienced in your past and you overcome, right? So with that being said, what impact do you see RAD having on foster youth or former foster youth?
Yes, I see Rise Above Defeat having a huge impact on those who lack self-confidence, low self-esteem. RAD is awesome at providing those tools to help you self-building tools. We all need those. And also it's communicating the emotions that we have either trained ourselves or been told to hold in, bottle them in, don't you tell anyone. We provide tools to help you learn to communicate your emotions and your feelings. Because 9 times out of 10, when we hold in things, it has a huge effect on us mentally and physically. So we give you tools to help you communicate your emotions. And then the releasing. I love the releasing tool because, again, you're not holding things inside, but you're also releasing those people that may have hurt you. And learning how to live a free life, like the heaviness is gone. We can provide that to your children at a young age. I believe the turnout will be magnificent as an adult. So these are the tools that Rise Above Defeat hope and look forward to providing for your foster children.
That's awesome. I love that, the whole releasing, because a lot of times we may not ever get an apology, right? We may never get an apology for something that has been done to us. So this is definitely a benefit for a lot of our foster youth. So how can our listeners, how can they contact you? How can we get a hold of you?
Okay, well, you can go to www.riseabovedefeat.com, and there you can pick which package you want. We have individual, adolescent. Individual is usually for adults. We have adolescent one-to-one coaching, and we have the high-level coaching, meaning you want longer, more than the 2 months. So you have, you want 3 months instead of the 2. You have that option there. You sign up, take a quick assessment, and we'll be in touch with you within 72 hours.
That's super awesome. And we'll go ahead and link your information as well. Are there any helpful tips that you would like to leave with our listeners, or for any, foster youth or former foster youth that may be listening in today?
I do. I just want to share. I wanted to share this early on, but slipped my mind. I was reading an article maybe a couple of weeks ago, and it said in 2017, we had about 5,016 males and 1,225 females in the United States that lost their lives to suicide. Okay, and the reason why I wanted to share this is because just to draw attention to our children. Everything starts as a child. I know a lot of us was trained that life doesn't begin until you're an adult, right? You don't have the pressure of life come at you until you're an adult. But that's incorrect, because trauma begins as soon as it enters. And that can be at 3 months sometime. Although you don't understand, at 3 month, your 3-month baby don't understand the emotion and the feelings that's taking place with their bodies. A 6-year-old or a 6-year-old child don't understand what's going on, but that's trauma. It's when trauma enters, and this is the importance of being able to communicate. And sometimes it's not within the home. Sometimes you feel most listened to and most understood when you reach out to extended help. So I just want to leave the listeners with the importance of just communicating. Don't hold it in. Holding trauma in it wears on you mentally and physically. And that's where anxieties and depressions come in. So my encouragement to everyone, young, old, is to reach out, ask for help, and be willing to accept the help, and just know it's not your fault. Just know it's not your fault, and you can overcome everything that has come against you. You can. So that's my encouragement.
Well, we're getting ready to close out this segment, and I mean, truly, Markeya, I think every time we speak to you, we leave inspired. I think back to the day we had lunch, and it was like 2 or 3 hours later, and we're still sitting there. We laughed, we cried, we talked, and
Yes.
your story is just incredible, and we just meshed so well because of the passion and the drive and what called us to do the work that we're doing, right? Which is something that not everybody gets to do with what they were created to do. And I feel that we are living what we were created to do, which is such a beautiful thing. But as we get ready to close out, I think about rise above defeat, and I think about like anything that was meant to bring me down, anything that was meant to block, or anything that was meant to be a barrier, like my childhood trauma, the things I lived with that, there's statistics that show that I shouldn't be in this camera today. I should be somewhere else. And I was able to rise above that. But what is that for you when you came up with the name Rise Above Defeat? Leave us with that. What was that for you?
The rising above defeat for me was my childhood trauma. Going through childhood trauma, keeping it in, trying to share it, but not really knowing how. It left me all alone. I had to figure it out by myself. So the way I behaved, the things I took from certain people because I didn't know my worth, and I just felt that I belonged to that category, right? So at a certain age, I believe 18, when I start seeing people maybe in the healthcare field, I'm like, oh, there's a Black doctor. I can do that. It opened me up. And when I start seeing, just people of the same ethnicity as me doing certain things and hearing their stories and what they overcame, it gave me life. And I was like, I don't have to stay here. So working through my childhood trauma, as in, I don't know how much we're sharing here, but, being molested by a family member at a young age, at the age of 6 or 7, and working through it, going through the motions of, is it my fault? It's me, something's wrong with me, and understanding what this caused, going back to the root, the root of things, and learning how to release. This is my rise above defeat. It's my childhood trauma. And I say, if I can do it, anyone else can.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. And again, I feel like it's another example that you're taking your story, right? That we're all taking our stories and creating fuel to help other people, right? I love it. I absolutely love everything about Rise and just your mission. And I do foresee you helping so many of our foster youth in the future.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure. I also want to say, when you said right now, my story is, I always say that we don't go through the things we go through. It's not just for us. They're for others. We work through it, we get through it, and we pass it along. It's not for ourselves. So yes. So thank you, and your desire as well. we need it.
It's crazy that you say that, because I was telling Lakeisha that I was looking at something one time, and it came to me that what I went through was not in vain, and I can't be selfish to hold on to the things I've learned from that, and I have to share that with someone else. And I think this is such a beautiful platform to do that and say, yeah, I went through it. It was really, really hard. And sometimes I felt like I was not going to come out from that, but I did. And this is what I learned through that process. So let me share with you what I learned as you go through yours. And the process may not look exactly the same. The journey may not look exactly the same. But if you don't feel alone during that, then what I went through it for this reason. And man, that is I don't think there's any better way to take something that was meant to be ugly
Yes.
and turn it into something that's actually
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes.
Exactly.
Well, thank you, Markeya, so much for sharing your time with us, sharing your wisdom, and having this impact not just on us, but on whoever is hearing this today. And I'm sure that something that you shared today with us is going to make a difference in someone's life. And maybe it might be that push that someone needs to say, I do need help and I'm ready to do that. And if that's what it is, then what better way to go through coaches that have been through life themselves, right? And can walk them through that. So thank you again.